in just 10 minutes, guys.
All right, Matt, thank you. Let's get to the top story now. 2 Utah Jewish centers on high alert this morning after they received identical bomb threats. Buildings were evacuated as police spent hours searching for anything that might be suspicious.
It happened the same day Israel declared war against the military group Hamas, but religious leaders say this isn't unique to just this weekend. News specialist Shelby Lofton has the story.
Salt Lake City Police and the FBI are investigating whether these threats are credible and where they came from. Leaders from 2 Utah synagogues told me that this anonymous email came in around 10:30 Sunday morning, and they took that message seriously. On one of the most joyful Jewish holidays,
we were in the middle of our Simchat Torah service.
Members of Congregation Kol Ami were startled in their seats.
About halfway through our service, our staff received an email saying that there was a bomb in our building. Please calmly exit the building and go to Tanner Park. Thank you. Bombs have been placed in other Jewish centers around Utah, and that it'd go off in a few hours and that we all deserve to die.
Rabbi Sam Spector immediately cleared out the building.
Has 911 been called?
He said police swept it while he called Jewish centers across the state.
It was certainly, I think, rallying and drawing for a lot of congregants.
The president of Congregation Bris Shalem in Ogden said the threat they received was nearly identical. Janice Ward says the anonymous email that stated bombs were inside their Jewish center was sent while children were inside the sanctuary for school. She says they were evacuated while bomb dogs sniffed the property.
These are things that happen even when there isn't stuff going on in Israel. But with that said, we are on heightened alert.
In a statement, the FBI says it takes the threats seriously and urges everyone to be vigilant and report any suspicious activity.
On one hand, you're surprised, but on the other hand, you're prepared for this because this is something that many synagogues and Jewish centers experience on a regular basis.
More police surveillance now sits outside Congregation Kol Ami. Rabbi Spector says he hopes it only keeps threats of violence away, not members of his congregation.
The best act of resistance to this type of anti-Semitism is not staying away from the synagogue, but still coming and supporting your local Jewish centers.
The president of the Ogden Synagogue told me that she believes this is the first bomb threat that campus has ever received. She says security has been amped up, and back here in Salt Lake, police have promised to increase patrols, and they reminded the public to report any and all threats and any suspicious activity. Shelby Lofton, KSL-5 News.
Thank you, Shelby. In response to the bomb...
To stay safe, we'll take a look. Plus, scary moments at multiple synagogues around Utah. Bomb threats coming in via email. What we know about that investigation. And we're taking a number of investigations underway this Monday morning after synagogues across Utah received bomb threats on Sunday.
Also, a police chase
Down to the valley. Dan?
All right, let's get to our top stories this morning. Police and the FBI are investigating bomb threats sent to multiple Jewish centers in Utah over the weekend.
News specialist Kara Bracken joining us live this morning. Kara, what do we know so far about these threats?
Good morning, Dan. Lori, 2 Utah synagogues, they received the same exact email yesterday morning.
Please calmly exit the building and go to Tanner Park. Thank you.
Right now, police and federal agents are trying to figure out whether these threats were credible and where they came from. It happened in the middle of service for members of Congregation Kol Ami in Salt Lake. Meanwhile, in Ogden, the president of Congregation Bris Shalem said the threat they received was nearly identical.
Bombs have been placed in other Jewish centers around Utah, and that it'd go off in a few hours and that we all deserve to die.
In a statement, the FBI said it takes the threats seriously and urges everyone to be vigilant and report any suspicious activity. Now, the president of the Ogden area, they do say that they are, that this may be that first threat they've seen as far as it goes into those Jewish centers. As far as here in Salt Lake, they are taking that security seriously and upping their measures. Guys.
All right, Kara Bracken reporting the Salt Lake City Council released a statement also condemning those threats.
This is what it said.
Lori?
One family in North Salt Lake got the surprise of a lifetime. Their story coming up.
And this could be a game changer.
Oh, that's great. Well, a family in North Salt Lake is thanking the community for a big act of kindness.
A local nonprofit helped the Evans family ease the pain of losing a loved one.
Now, the group Little Miracles gave a makeover of a lifetime to the Evans family home. They did this all in 24 hours.
It really is a miracle. So, I mean, we have a few people that are skilled contractors, but a lot of these are families we served in the past that now are paying it forward. We'll have neighbors walk in their dog and come in and offer to help.
Their house was nominated by Little Miracles, and the community helped make it happen.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful acts of service there. And thank goodness the weather's been cooperating with whatever you're doing. I mean, there are...
died so far, and we'll have more about this conflict and how the U.S. is responding to it. But first, we want to bring in news specialist Kara Bracken.
Kara, multiple Jewish centers here in Utah received bomb threats. Sadly, what do we know about this, and what are they doing to make sure people stay safe?
Hey, good morning to you both. Yeah, right now the Salt Lake City Police as well as the FBI, they want to have their questions answered. They want to know whether these threats, whether they were valid and where they're coming from. Now, we do know the president of Congregation Brit Shalem in Ogden says they got an anonymous email that said bombs were inside their Jewish center. It was sent while children were inside the sanctuary for school. That's similar to what happened for members of Congregation Kol Ami in Salt Lake. The local leaders say it's surprising but not entirely uncommon.
On one hand, you're surprised, but on the other hand, you're prepared for this because this is something that many synagogues and Jewish centers experience on a regular basis.
In a statement, the FBI says it takes the threat seriously and urges everyone to be vigilant and report any suspicious activity. And the president of the Ogden Synagogue, they believe this is the first time that something like this has happened. Now, as far in Salt Lake, they're promising to up their security. And again, the FBI and Salt Lake City Police, they're continuing to investigate all of this. Guys.
All right, Kara Bracken reporting. Kara, thank you. In response to the bomb threats, Governor Cox are Americans. That war leading back here to Utah. This weekend, there were bomb threats across the Jewish community centers here in our state.
News specialist Kara Bracken joins us live with more. And Kara, what do we know about these threats?
Hey, good morning. Well, two Utah synagogues, they say they received the same exact email yesterday morning.
Please calmly exit the building and go to Tanner Park. Thank you.
Well, right now, police and federal agents are trying to figure out whether these threats were credible and where they came from. It happened in the middle of service for members of Congregation Kol Ami in Salt Lake. Meanwhile, in Ogden, the president of Congregation Brit Shalem said the threat they received was nearly identical.
Bombs have been placed in other Jewish centers around Utah, and that it'd go off in a few hours and that we all deserve to die.
In a statement, the FBI said it takes the threat seriously and urges everyone to be vigilant and report any suspicious activity. Now, we are in Salt Lake this morning, and they say they're going to be upping their patrol. In Ogden, they say that may be their first threat that they've had in that kind of way come through. For now, they're reporting live. I'm Kara Bracken. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Kara, thank you for the latest on that.
And new this morning, the Salt Lake City Council has released a statement condemning. We'll have more about that conflict and how the U.S. is responding. But first, we want to bring in news specialist Kara Bracken.
Yeah, bringing it closer to home, Kara, multiple Jewish centers in Utah say that they received bomb threats. What are they doing right now to stay safe?
Hey, good morning. Well, Salt Lake City Police and the FBI, they want to get those answers to their questions, like if those threats, if they were credible and exactly where they're coming from. So again, those threats, they did come through over the weekend, that same email. The president of Congregation Brit Shalem in Ogden says they got an anonymous email that said bombs were inside their Jewish center. That was sent while children were inside the sanctuary for school. It's similar to what happened for members of Congregation Kol Ami here in Salt Lake. The local leader saying it's surprising, but not entirely uncommon.
On one hand, you're surprised, but on the other hand, you're prepared for this because this is something that many synagogues and Jewish centers experience on a regular basis.
Now, in a statement, the FBI said it does take the threat seriously and urges everyone to be vigilant and report any kind of suspicious activity. Now, the president of the Ogden Synagogue says that this may be the first kind of threat they've seen like this come through. Now, as far as here in Salt Lake, they do say that they want to up their patrols. Guys.
All right, Kara Bracken reporting. In response to the bomb threats, Governor Cox issued this statement. on
News at 5:30. Well, here in Utah, Jewish centers are on high alert after receiving bomb threats over the weekend. A synagogue in Summit County has actually requested more police presence during this time. News specialist Kara Bracken shares reaction from the rabbi there and the response from deputies.
Earlier, we spoke with the Summit County sergeant who says the Temple HaShalom has requested more eyes and ears during this time.
The Temple HaShalom has requested that we provide some extra patrols for their campus up here, and so we've been doing that.
As the only Jewish synagogue in Summit County, proactivity is key.
Anytime there's a deputy that's in the area and available, they go through there, they make sure that there's nothing suspicious, everything's locked up, and everything's safe.
This comes as Salt Lake City Police and the FBI say they are still investigating the threats. They want to know whether these threats are credible and where they're coming from. The FBI Salt Lake City saying in part, quote, FBI Salt Lake City is aware of several bomb threats to synagogues in Utah. The FBI takes these threats very seriously. While we have no information to indicate a credible or specific threat, we are working with our local and state law enforcement partners as needed. Going north to Ogden, the president of Congregation Brit Shalem said the threat they received over the weekend came during the middle of service.
Please calmly exit the building and go to Tanner Park. Bombs have been placed in other Jewish centers around Utah. And that it'd go off in a few hours and that we all deserve to die.
As law enforcement continues to piece the puzzle together, they are asking the public to keep their own eyes and ears open, that if you see something, say something and report that to police. For now, reporting in Summit County, I'm Kara Bracken for KSL 5 News.
Kara, thank you. Well, nearly 100 BYU students, American victims.
Many of Utah's Jewish centers are on high alert after receiving bomb threats over the weekend. The FBI in Salt Lake City still investigating how credible these threats were, and they are asking anyone who sees something suspicious to report it immediately. In Ogden, the president of Congregation Brit Shalem say a threat that they received over the weekend came during the middle of service.
On one hand, you're surprised, but on the other hand, you're prepared for this because this is something that many synagogues and Jewish centers experience on a regular basis.
In response to the threats, Governor Spencer Cox issuing this statement.
As they get them.
Here in Utah, Jewish centers on high alert after receiving a wave of bomb threats over the weekend. It's caused one synagogue in Summit County to request a higher police presence as they share the tense moments when getting a threat in the middle of service.
Please calmly exit the building and go to Tanner Park. Bombs have been placed in other Jewish centers around Utah. And that it'd go off in a few hours and that we all deserve to die.
The FBI's Salt Lake City office is investigating the threats. They released a statement saying in part, quote, FBI Salt Lake City is aware of several bomb threats to synagogues in Utah. The FBI takes these threats very seriously. While we have no information to indicate a credible or a specific threat, we are working with our local and state law enforcement partners as needed.
We have a live look from the top of KSL broadcast. Cause of death.
Increased security at Jewish temples and community centers tonight. This weekend, several synagogues received bomb threats, some coming mid-service. Bomb squads did not find anything. Local law enforcement adding some extra patrols to centers all across northern Utah as a precautionary measure.
Similar emailed threats forced the